Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey. Today I'm going to be doing another comparison video, and that is two men's fragrances from the very popular brand Parfums de MARLY. So I'm going to be comparing the two and telling you my thoughts on each, if I think they're each worth to have in your collection or if I think that you should just go with one of them. The two fragrances that I'm going to be comparing today from this range is Oajan and the very famous HEROD. So these are two fragrances in the men's line, the men's range of Parfums de MARLY, and although it's in the men's range, I still wear the men's fragrances myself. I personally think that the men's line is incredible and they have some of the best releases. Now I'm going to test these both out on skin so that I can describe them to you as I'm smelling them. Firstly, I'm actually going to start with Oajan. So I have a little sample here that I have been testing out. Let's spray some on skin because that's the best way to test, right? In the opening, this is very spicy. It's got this very dry spice to it. I'm getting a lot of cinnamon in here. I'm going to read all of the notes for you guys to give you the breakdown. So in the top of Oajan, we have cinnamon, honey, and osmanthus. Then in the mid, you have benzoin, labdanum, ambergris, and artemisia. And in the base you have tonka bean, vanilla, patchouli, and musk. So I have to say I get loads of cinnamon in the opening. I have heard people describe this as kind of a cinnamon apple pie, and I could pick that up, but it's more of a dry cinnamon. It's not super sweet. You do get the honey a little bit as it starts to dry down on the skin. I definitely pick up on this labdanum note. It's kind of making it like sticky, resinous. And although this is a sweet fragrance, it's not overly sweet. It definitely has this powdery vibe to it. And with the cinnamon, like some people said, you do kind of get this apple tone to it, and there's not a direct apple note in here. I don't know if it's just the mixture of the cinnamon and the labdanum, the artemisia. It kind of has this green scent to it. So maybe that's where people are picking up on the apple, but there is not an apple note in here, although it does kind of resemble that. Overall, this is a sweet honeyed fragrance. I get a lot of cinnamon. Like I said, I get those labdanum resinous notes. I do also pick up on the benzoin and the tonka bean, making it very rich and sweet. But this is more of a spicy sweetness. And I have seen a lot of people on Fragrantica, and I've heard people compare it to Kilian Angel's Share, and I have to say it's a lot less thick and rich and sweet. Angel's Share is super gourmand, and to my nose this is less gourmand in my opinion, more spicy, woody, kind of boozy. But this to me does not smell like an apple pie. I can get the slight resemblance to that maybe, but to my nose this is not foodie, this is not super gourmand. It's more of a dried spice with a touch of honey, with the tonka bean and osmanthus. So in my opinion, this is a dark fragrance, but it's lighter than Angel's Share. It's not as rich or heavy. This is a beautiful woody cinnamon fragrance. I have also seen people compare it to Hermes Ombre Narguilé, and I could definitely see more of the resemblance to that fragrance because that one to me is also more of a dried cinnamon kind of scent. It's not as gourmand, it's slightly powdery and ambery. But I still think that this fragrance stands out on its own. I don't feel that it's too similar to either of those fragrances, but if you do like Angel's Share, if you do like Ombre Narguilé, then I think you would also love this fragrance because it is in a similar scent profile. But to me it's a little bit drier and a little bit less sweet. Now let's move on to HEROD. I'm really excited for this one. It's been a long time that I've tested it. Barely have any left of my sample here. So initially as I smell it, I get a blast of this sweet tobacco note, and there is tobacco in here. So the note breakdown includes cinnamon and pepper in the top, tobacco leaf, incense, osmanthus, and labdanum in the mid. And in the base you have vanilla, isoe super, cedar, musk, cypriol oil, and vetiver. So you do have some similar notes in here. I could see how Oajan and HEROD could be comparable for sure. To me, this one is a little bit richer, it's a little bit sweeter, a little darker too. Although Oajan was kind of dark, this one is even darker. This is a very cold, dark feeling fragrance. I could really see this doing well in super cold climates. Not just in fall when it's starting to get chilly, but like 20 degree, 10 degree. But yeah, this is a much colder fragrance. It makes me like just picture winter time. I definitely pick up on the spices there in the beginning, but I wouldn't say the cinnamon is as prominent as it is in Oajan. So it smells like the sticky, sweet, burned pipe tobacco. So realistic to that. This is also not gourmand, so if you've seen anything that's saying this is gourmand, to me it's not. It's more of a sweet pipe tobacco, and it's leaning towards kind of a dark cherry undertone. There is no cherry in here. I do pick up on the osmanthus, which is also in Oajan, but I feel it's more prominent in HEROD. Okay, so I'm back. It's a little bit later. My camera died, so I had to go charge it. So let's see how the Drydown is officially. Yeah, I'm still getting this like dried cinnamon and honey from the Oajan. I get a lot of tonka bean too, but like I said earlier, this is not super sweet. This is quite dry, spicy, and a little bit ambery too. Now HEROD on the other side, it has sweetened up a little bit. You still get that sweet pipe tobacco. The cherry note that was kind of coming through is a little bit died down now. I'm almost getting some vanilla through the Drydown. I think that's what's sweetening it up. So it's vanillic, a lot of tobacco. It's a little bit herbal, almost earthy also. I think that's what's giving it that cold, dark undertone. This is definitely richer and fruitier than Oajan for sure. It's more cozy and comforting. I don't really get that vibe from Oajan, honestly. It's not really like a cozy, comforting fragrance that I would reach for. It's kind of dry and boozy. It smells a little bit like whiskey now on my nose. I'm not a whiskey fan at all. I like the cognac and angel share, but this whiskey it's a little bit too boozy for me, a little bit too dry. Whereas HEROD is sweeter, it's a little bit denser. This is something that I would definitely reach for in the colder weather and going into winter when it gets super cold outside and it's just like this crisp, sharp air. I would wear this to kind of feel like warmed up a little bit. But I do have to say, Oajan is smelling a lot stronger on skin than HEROD, which I'm surprised by. Because of the notes, I figured the tobacco fragrance would be super strong, but honestly, the cinnamon in here and the tonka bean that I'm smelling in Oajan is really standing out on my skin, whereas HEROD is a lot more of a soft skin scent, so it's not projecting a lot. I do have to say, I think Oajan would perform better. You would smell it more throughout the day and it would last longer, whereas HEROD is almost kind of settling down into my skin, becoming a skin scent, which I'm very surprised by. So I guess with HEROD you would have to load up on the sprays, overspray to really get the most out of it, whereas Oajan you're not going to need as much. So do you need both? I don't think so. I think they're still kind of in a similar scent family. It's just that Oajan is spicier and drier. HEROD is a little bit richer and sweeter. So if you like sweeter, darker, denser fragrances, I would go for HEROD. But if you want something that's a little bit sweet but boozy and spicy, then I would go for Oajan. If Angel Sherry from Kilian was too sweet for you, then definitely check out Oajan because it's not as sweet, it's not as gourmand, so it's not as in your face, it's not cloying whatsoever. If I had to choose between these two fragrances, I would pick HEROD. There's something drawing me towards it. It's warm, it's comforting, it's cozy. It has this like intoxicating richness to it that I really like. And I'm just drawn to it more. Oajan is a little bit too spicy with the cinnamon, and I love warm spicy fragrances, but it's too dry for me. HEROD is just a little bit more comforting and sweeter, which I personally enjoy. And I also think this would be sexy on a man, on a woman. I think HEROD could go on anybody. Oajan I'm leaning towards more of a guy wearing this. I don't know why, just because of that dryness from the whiskey scent that I'm picking up on. I could see that more on a guy, whereas HEROD is a little bit more versatile. Let me know if you guys have tried these down in the comments below. Do you have any Parfums de Marly that you recommend me try out? I'm thinking of doing a buying guide for their fragrances. Feel free to put some recommendations down below for me. Thank you so much for watching my comparison video today, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!